So, Emma, what's happening in this episode?
This episode is a fun bonus episode.
This episode is called Funny Stories. Well, welcome back to the editing room of the podcast. Pull up a beanbag to the conversation. You join once again Emma and Elliot. I always forgot my name there.
I was like, you know what your name is.
To have some chit-chatting about parenting.
When you say editing room, I always imagine, like, you know, those old-fashioned film editors where there's bits of film all over.
That's what it looks like when we're editing the podcast. It's a very difficult sort of skilled thing in a dark room with scissors. Yeah. I have to chop up the keyboard and stick it
all back together. This is a tangent. He's not going to add it in. But,
a tangent in the introduction to the tangent episode. Wow.
About you code up keyboards. He borrowed my laptop for a thing the other day, and now some of the letters don't work.
I was actually trying to fix your laptop.
It was.
Make it better.
I will say it's been dying for a while. But I just want to point out now...
Somehow it broke more.
To finish the last bit of my work before maternity leave. And now I have to use a stupid, like desktop keyboard that's on the laptop. It's taking ages.
I made it run quicker. It's just now some of the letters don't work.
And they're all the letters I need.
Oh dear.
See, he'll cut that out now. But I just... As we were talking about cutting up keyboards, don't let this man near your keyboard.
Here for a special extra bonus mega episode of Don't Wake the Baby, full of all the bits and bobs that got cut out.
Of all the bits that couldn't fit into the other episodes, or that I argued should have been put in the other episode and he cut me out when I was on a tangent.
It's mostly just you talking about stuff where I've gone, this is too rambly, can't fit it in.
The Emma Rambles episode, where I just talk about random stories that Elliot doesn't think are very interesting.
A lot of it is just random stuff. If you're new here, if you've just clicked on this video, if it's accidentally started playing, you have to watch till the end now.
Yeah, don't go.
It's just the rules. You can't leave.
We're friendly and nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's it. You're stuck.
Anybody gets to hear this, he's telling his poor heavily pregnant wife off because I'm breathing too loudly on all the podcast episodes. And it is true, I am, but I don't think it can be helped.
No,
not at this stage. See, I'm really trying. I was going to do a big breath then. Little breath.
So we do a testing.
Testing.
Speak in your normal loudness voice.
I know, I always do a squeaky little voice.
Yes.
I apologise in advance. There will be heavy breathing throughout.
Is that all right, do you think?
Sounds fine to me.
Something to call it?
I was focusing on my breathing.
Oh, you're focusing on your breathing.
I can't pay attention to you and focus on my breathing at the same time.
Right, put your phone down.
I feel like I'm a naughty school child.
Yep.
Phone down.
Put your phone down. We're recording.
You have a big yawn.
Wait while you have a yawn.
I'm ready.
You ready now?
Yep.
Okay. Good.
I'll try not to breathe loudly.
Here we go. Boo, ding ding ding. Bang ding 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 ding.
Parenting achievement time.
It's parenting achievement time. Do you have a parenting achievement to share, Emma?
Ooh, let me think. I mean, we've had a lot of tantrums recently, let's be honest.
Yeah, we've had all sorts going on. I've got a few that I could share. Recently we've been discussing this with a few of our podcast listeners off the airwaves. But as we're getting into late pregnancy now, I think this is the cause anyway, Lily's become rather clingy with you and has turned rather suddenly against me in a rather stark way.
It is. It's quite mean, really. I keep asking him, I'm like, you're okay, aren't you?
Because, it seems to be a fairly common thing, maybe.
Amongst some people we've talked to.
Amongst some people that, like, your toddler has a thing against dad when a new baby's on the way.
I think it's because she's subconsciously aware she's already going to have to share mummy's time with the baby. And therefore she's like, well, I don't want to share mummy's time with daddy too. That's too much.
And I mean, I've never been the favourite because, I'm the strict one. And
that's why everybody telling us.
Yeah.
Since she was really little, well, I was going, oh, it's really exhausting being the favourite. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so terrible being the favourite. But when they want you to do everything all the time, it is tiring. And people keep telling us, oh, it'll change. And then, when you're not the favourite, you'll feel sad you're not the favourite.
So I'm used to that, really, that you're always preferable, but she's always been very loving with me. Whereas recently we came back from nursery and then she suddenly just decided that I'd been cheeky and I needed to go time out, which often does happen, but it's normally like a little joke, and like you can play around with it, and I'm like, I don't want to go time out,
and she's like, you have to, you've been cheeky.
But no, this time she was serious, that she didn't want me in the room.
No, at all.
She was just like, would scream if I came in the room, so I had to sit by myself in the kitchen. And then she was saying to, like, when I came back in, she was screaming, we were saying like, you've got to let Baba back in the room. And he was like, I don't like him.
And then she kept saying to me, Mummy, you're my best friend. And I was like, I can be your best friend, but it doesn't mean you have to dislike Baba.
She's like, I don't like him. I don't like him. Oh, dear. Dagger in my heart.
Yeah. That's all good. Are you okay?
I'd had a pretty stressful, rough day already as well.
He'd already been to an event where his recording hadn't worked.
My work wasn't going very well, and I was a bit frustrated because technology wasn't playing ball with me. And then to have this at the end of the day, I was like, oh, I'm a bit stressed. And then I've got
Lily going I don't like you.
I'm not allowed to eat my food in the room with you. I'm not allowed to be there. Don't want to see me.
Yeah.
Screams if I walk in.
Yeah.
Doesn't like
difficult.
me. Can't do anything right.
No.
If I just talk now, if I'm in the room, if I talk, she looks at me and goes, cheeky Baba, don't talk.
Don't talk. I'm talking to Mummy.
The other day, she turned my chair around so I was facing the wall. And she was like, stay there, Baba. So I had to sit in the room facing the wall.
And we tried, we tried to make you sit in the room with us. I was trying to explain to her, going, you can have a favourite, but you don't have to be mean. So now I'm really trying to focus on having some, thought out time that's just Mummy and Lily time. And I'm like, this is just going to be a Mummy and Lily thing. So that hopefully it meets your need for that extra attention without it spreading into our home life.
The other parenting achievement, got the words out eventually, that I remember recently was one where I kind of...
Sorry, I know I'm breathing heavy. I'm trying to control it again.
It's going to be all through this episode. I'm like, why are you pulling a funny face? It's like, I'm trying to not breathe.
I cannot breathe heavily.
What was I saying? So I was cooking, and Lily wanted to come play, and I was cooking pasta, and so I gave her the pack of uncooked spaghetti to play with, and I thought, well, at least this will keep her entertained. She had a great time. She had fun with it.
Oh,
I mean, she did pour it all over the floor, which was a bit of a downside.
And was throwing bits about the room.
Yep, snapping it all up. But I was like, well, she's happy. I'm not having to deal with it right now. And then for the past, 2 weeks, I've been... I try to clear it all up, but I've been finding little bits of, tiny bits of spaghetti, uncooked spaghetti, just all around the kitchen.
Yeah, it's true. In
all sorts of places. And every time I'm like, oh, this was such a terrible idea. Why did I do this at the time?
I would say what has been a success, an actual parenting achievement. Yeah. This is going on too long, this bit, but hey, it's the episode where we chat away, so tough.
I'm gonna have to cut bits out of the episode where it's the bits we cut out.
We've recently got one of those tough trays.
Like a messy tray, a big
messy play tray,
black sensory tray.
Yeah, and that's been a big success actually.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, I don't have the energy to do an awful lot, but if I prepare a messy tray, and it was really good because one day we'd already been out in the garden faffing on with a kite because she wanted to fly a kite, but it wasn't windy enough. So we played along and go, oh no, it's not windy enough. And then we came in, and then she's like, I want to go on a bike ride now. And I was like, we're exhausted from running around with this kite.
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know what we could do? Should we go play with the messy tray? And she played with it then all afternoon. It was great.
Yep.
So I would say this is just a recommendation. If you're getting a bit exhausted, if your child gets into these like messy tray activities, Lily can play with for hours.
And I would say we put it off for ages because we used to think they were quite expensive. I
But
remember,
they've come down in price a lot.
we looked at them like when Lily was like 6 months or so,
Yeah.
when it was kind of the actual better time
For age groups
to kind of have them.
yeah.
And I remember them being like 30, 40
30,
quid
40
or
quid,
something.
yeah.
And I remember, because we saw them at like toddler groups and things.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, how
we were
good.
like, oh, these are great. Yeah,
And then
really
we kept
good.
looking at them and we're like, I know it's too expensive.
Yeah, yeah. But then your sister recently got one.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, that's fancy.
And
then
she
we were
was like, she was going, oh, it's 15 quid. And we're like, £15?
I was like, well, we could get
We'll
one.
get one.
We should really look at other stuff that we ruled out years ago, thinking that it
I
was
think
like,
a lot of it's come in fashion now, so it's just come down in price.
Yeah,
as
maybe
more
that's
people
it.
buy
Yeah, just there's more demand, they produce more.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're exhausted, I mean, not all kids will go for it, but Lily loves. Honestly, ours has just got homemade sand because we ran out of sand.
Yeah, that then went all over the living room carpet.
Yeah, but
Because
she's
it didn't stay in the tray.
She's got good at hoovering it up, though, hasn't
Yeah,
she?
that's true.
Which is another part of our game now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
my little helper.
pretty successful. So that's the positive, actual successful thing that's
Cool.
happened.
We'll focus on that.
Well, currently Lily really likes looking at ducks on TikTok. Because one day she saw me looking on TikTok, so I quickly changed it because I didn't want anything to come up that was dodgy. And I put in ducks. And now she thinks we go to that app to watch ducks. So if I remember she goes, ducks please. And I have to get TikTok up and we have to look at lots of different ducks that are just waddling around. So I do think she likes ducks at the minute if we want to get some ducks.
There you go.
I did have ambition for goats. It's moved on to ducks. We'll see what my next ambition ends up being animal-wise. But I think even having an animal, I'm like, it's your responsibility to feed or, you know.
Next parenting story.
Also, I was going to say, I'm very aware that sometimes the sound gets to both of us. So my sister was recently saying she's got those little earbuds she puts in, like, to try and calm down the noise.
In terms
a bit.
of like Lily's crying and screaming and stuff.
Although I would say Lily actually isn't that bad.
Not as bad as a lot of people. But it's like recently when I've been tired, it has been like getting to me a lot more.
Yeah.
Like I've just been getting headaches and stuff, and it's just hard work. Yeah.
So I was saying stuff like that, it's a lot more fashionable nowadays almost to have stuff that just helps you drown out the noise a bit because people are aware toddlers can be very loud.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And we've moved through the toddler phase. Like a lot of people say, like the terrible twos, and I don't know. It feels like the threes are at the moment just as bad in different ways.
I think because she wasn't a terrible two, to be honest.
Yeah,
That she did have meltdowns, but not. Some people say it's a lot. Whereas she didn't really have a lot of meltdowns in the grand scheme of things. So I think maybe this is maybe the next one we might go through terrible twos and be like, oh, like that was actually a really different experience.
yeah.
Whereas I think now it's more just. I think she's still a lot better now though, because you can just rationalise with her and
True.
bribe her a lot easier.
Yeah. Who do a lot of bribery.
Also, we've learned just to lie.
Yeah.
Not about mean things, but like, so freeze dried strawberries sprinkles, and there's something we call a chocolate donut, which is literally a piece of bread, like one of those BAP things, and it just has chocolate spread on it.
Yeah.
Like,
She previously accepted that like Greek yogurt was ice cream.
Yeah. So we just lie about some things to get her to eat healthy, and she accepts it, which I don't know is entirely ethical, but you know, it's not going to kill her. So.
On that front, again, though, I think, again, different maybe how a lot of us grew up in terms of, yeah, sure, we do a lot of that bribery and lying, but we try to be honest in many other areas. Like, it's interesting, recently we've had to begin to have conversations about babies
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And like now she's much more aware, like when you're having a bath and stuff, she's much more aware of like her body and things like that. And I feel like in the past, parents were a bit more coy about things.
Think so.
Whereas, I mean,
or
we're
they were
taking
very like, I remember a lot of people were saying it was a special hug that made a baby.
Yeah.
And I've really gone away from that because as a young child who knew I was a girl and I could get pregnant, that just makes you scared to hug people. So I've been very scientific in that I've said there's an egg and there's a sperm, and that makes a baby.
Again, I don't know if you've got little boys, you may not have encountered this, but like Lily as a little girl is very inquisitive, and we did not expect her to be asking, how did the baby get in mummy's tummy already?
Very quick. It was very early on of saying she kind of accepted there is a baby in my tummy. She got that. And then she was going, well, how did it get there? And I was like, oh, wow, okay, didn't expect that question.
Let's deal with that.
Straight away. And I remember thinking about it because I was like, well, I don't want to say it because my mum was like, well, just tell her, God gives you a baby. And I was like, yeah, but it's kind of problematic because we have friends who have struggled to get pregnant or can't get pregnant. And then I don't want it to be a thing that Lee goes, oh, well, just God decided not to do that. I want it to be like, well, there's a scientific thing behind it, and that's how a baby is made. And it's kind of nobody's fault if that doesn't happen.
I think there's something just generally about telling the truth to kids and being honest. Like, it can be a toned down version, sure.
You don't go into graphically how the sperm and egg get together.
Yeah.
But you go, there is an egg, there is like, daddy has sperms, mummy has eggs.
I think maybe understanding today is that it can confuse children if you give them a story that's completely different. Yeah. But anyway, whatever you choose to do is absolutely fine.
That's just the route we've gone down.
So you know what we're up to?
And I explained to Lily that I had eggs in my tummy and she didn't believe me.
Eggs in the tummy.
Well, she was trying to be like, well, how does the baby grow?
Yeah.
And I said that you have to put a sperm in mummy.
Yeah.
And it goes in mummy's egg and that makes a baby. And she was going, mummy doesn't have eggs in there. And I said, yeah, I do. And she went, no, that's like a chicken. So now she just said, you just put the baby in me.
Right.
It isn't far off, but it's... I thought it was funny when she was like, no, that's a chicken, mum. You're not a chicken.
Next parenting story.
Yeah, Lily hasn't made up any phrases yet. She generally just describes what it is to me. Like before, when she wanted to say sink or drain, she was saying the thing with holes in and was like pointing like this, so I got what it was.
She's still very cute, though. She chats away to us about all sorts of things, telling us, nonsense.
And she's very funny. She plays like conflict resolution with her toys.
Yeah.
So she like makes them fight about sharing. This is once I said because I have a really big thing about sharing. This is probably why. Then she has like the mummy toy come over and go, now you need to share. It's a nice thing to do. And then they give each other a hug and go, sorry.
It's so adorable.
But it's so pretty, like listening to her game when she doesn't know you're listening, like and they're playing like, definitely. I want it. No, I want it. Now you need to share.
Yeah, it's those moments when I'm dreading having another kid, and I'm like, I just those moments give you so much joy.
Yeah,
and like
there'll be another little one, like at some point chatting away.
Yeah, that's what I have to think of.
About sink chimneys.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a funny thing Lily did yesterday. I was making Thai green curry and she thought it was tiger curry. So now I was going, it's tiger curry.
Yeah. Okay, testing.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked.
Right.
I thought that was a good tester.
Is that a good tester?
Yeah, but you're right. I do a different voice when I have to do that.
You do like a little quiet Peter Piper picked a pepper.
Probably when I last had to say that was a child. I turned into my childhood form going, Peter Piper.
I see. That's why when you think of a child, you have to talk quietly, do you?
Yeah. Oh. I was a quiet child.
Mm-hmm.
You were a quiet child.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
See? Maybe we could have sat quietly together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was a bit wild.
Mm.
A bit feral.
Oh, weird bodies. There's
Oh,
always
weird
so
bodies.
much strange,
Oh, yeah.
like, everyone has strange medical
Yeah,
stuff,
and
don't
I
we?
think a lot of us as women, well, especially me, I always just had like it as a given that I wouldn't struggle and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hard to consider that it's not kind of just an automatic thing that you will get pregnant easily, and that, like, for instance, and that you won't go into menopause at a younger age. So it's one of those things, because we're having 2 girls. I feel like I'm going to try and be really, not pressurize them, but be like,
This is the reality
this
of
is the reality of science. And in our family, we do go into menopause earlier.
Yeah.
So
Was
maybe
a possibility.
even if you want to freeze your eggs at some point, I would support them doing that just to think about their future if they do want children. Because I think I always just assumed, well, I'll just have children whenever I like. It won't be a problem.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, we're getting
we're getting a bit off topic.
yeah.
That's probably another podcast
Yeah.
episode.
Could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
Which isn't the focus of this episode. Next parenting story. I mean, I'm personally, like, I get quite thinged about trying to notice where we're creating bad habits, and, like,
Yeah.
you know, even first time round, I was the one who was always in about, you know, the long term
Yeah,
stuff.
so with Elliot, the baby never came in the bed. Which at the time I was like, it's a bit mean. But it did, in the long run, it did really help in that Lily never then wanted to be in the bed. Like,
Yeah.
now she sometimes does as a treat.
But even now, last, you know, week or so, there's been occasions when we've said to her, do you want to sleep in Mama's bed?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want to sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
But this is, I'm not criticising anyone who does co-sleeping at all.
No, no.
You know, it's not an issue at all, just for us.
Especially, I think if we succeed breastfeeding this time, it may end up being a co-sleeping situation. We'll have to see.
Who knows?
But it did help us in that Lily has always liked her own bed. And like last time, I'm really hoping this baby is the same in that Lily loved her Moses basket. And I'm hoping this baby will have the same almost attachment and security when they're in the Moses basket, because it made it a lot easier.
Next parenting story.
I have a funny story Becky told me about, which it was very funny. So people who know my family, my sisters and me, have a competition every week. We call it Naughtiest Womble of the Week. It just means naughtiest child of the week. So they've done something impressively bad. And this was funny because we actually all defended the child in this situation. So Becky, her youngest at the minute, Isaac, he loves like kicking balls, but she's got these soft little footballs for their house, so it shouldn't break anything.
I wondered what you were going with there with your kicking balls, but I see, you meant a football.
A football,
right,
yeah.
I'm with you.
And she's got these soft ones. And anyway, she said the other day he was like at the other side of the room, and he said, I'm going to kick this and it's going to hit the clock. And Becky said, because she was like, oh, it's miles away, it's never going to hit that clock. She's like, go on then. Like, go on. He
Parenting fail.
Fail. He kicked it, hit the clock fell off the wall, broke.
Oh.
He then looked terrified, like, I'm in such trouble. And Becky said she really wanted him to be in trouble, but she also had to admit she had just said, go for it. And hadn't said, don't do that, that's silly. Because she'd been like, well, he'll never hit the clock. And she thought, even if he does, it's a very soft ball. So, yeah. So she did say, she put the entry in for Naughty's Wobble and she showed us the clock. I'm like, oh, I know what happened. And then once she explained the situation, we all went, that's kind of on you. You told him to take the kick. You told him. And she was like, yeah, I kind of did, didn't I? We're like, yeah, nobody's going to support your effort for Naughty's Wobble of the month, of the week, sorry. So,
Yeah. There you are. That's a great story.
yeah. Don't even know his age.
If there are other dads out there who are
Slightly younger.
I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, you don't want to meet old people.
Hey, no, that's not what I mean.
I think we've just been to a lot of things recently, and Elliot's been like, I feel very young.
Yes. I think husbands often seem to be slightly older as well. So
Because most of my friends are about maybe 2 years older than me, but then it means their husbands are about 4 years older overall. So, although this is a shout out, we have discovered maybe travelling with more expensive airlines actually is more economically viable. So for instance, I know my work paid for this, but travelling with Air France, we got like a suitcase for hand luggage and a suitcase for the hold.
Yeah.
Included.
Yeah.
And I was actually like, oh. So this time, because my dad has just travelled to France in expectation of my sister giving birth, and he travelled with Air France because we worked out you travel with EasyJet or someone, but the time you add on hold luggage is often like £40. And then you're often like, well, actually, that's kind of the price difference between going on like a budget airline to a different airline that's maybe a bit pricier. And actually, it's maybe worth paying slightly more and getting that included and, also getting your other luggage included. And it actually saves money. So, yeah, I think it used to be cheaper to fly on some of the ones where you could take it with you. But now I'm like, I think we've got to look it up when we're travelling next because we have to see what actually is cheaper rather than what seems cheaper. We can't afford to fly business class again, but I definitely would buy or pre-buy some food because that really helps distract her when the food comes out and you get to have a food doing something. Once again, quite expensive, but it helps.
This is a problem with holidays, isn't it? They do get very expensive. Not just the cost of the holiday, but
yeah, the distractions.
Everything that goes with it, especially when you have children. It just the costs just escalate.
Yeah.
And suddenly you find, wow, we've spent so much.
Well, shout out to Jet2. This isn't a sponsor, but they do child-free places that I do think makes it cheaper. So you're not paying then for the flight and the hotel. I can't remember what age it goes up to. And there might be other holiday people that do it. It's just that's the only one I've encountered. Yep. So just so people know, useful little tip. Are you going to go through this later about our first holiday? Are you doing a list?
What were you wanting to... Does it relate to travel?
Oh, no, not really, no.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that later.
Okay.
What time are we up to? Yeah, I'm going to do the little break in the middle and then we can move to talk about actually being on holiday.
Oh,
okay.
Mazda's here.
Well, that's cool. And, we don't really mind if there's no one out there listening to this conversation, but...
I mean, it's lovely that there is. We're very excited. Elliot was looking at analytics and there's 2 semi-regular listeners from America.
Yeah.
And different parts of America. So we realise now we may have to explain more cultural things.
Nah. They'll get it. Doesn't matter. If you're American or the 2 listeners from Stockholm or wherever you are in the world, if you've accidentally clicked on it, if you're skewing our statistics, if you're using a VPN, we don't care. Whatever, I'm sure you can
follow along.
Work it out somehow. Next parenting story.
We often used to, he's not going to include this, but we often used to make little cocktails so it'd feel like we were abroad.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Sit in the garden with them.
Yeah. Just, that little moment where you can be like, yeah, this is nice.
We'll just have a little, I did this before we had Lily. We'd get the paddling pool out and put our feet in it and pretend we were abroad. I think this was during lockdown and we were a bit depressed. Well, this is going off on a tangent, but I remember for my work Christmas party, people don't know I work for a French company, so it was in France. It was quite a fancy event. Lily was feeling a bit insecure, but not only did she bring her cover, she brought all the things that give her comfort. So she had her dummy, her toy bingo, and her cover. And she refused to get dressed in her dress, so she was wearing some funny pajamas. And I was like, this is a great impression. She's like, here's my child with her dummy in her pajama kind of thing. With a cover and a bingo, looking like she wants to go to bed.
Yeah.
And she had a great time. So I'm glad, I let her bring all the stuff. But at the time I was like, could we not choose one comfort item and leave the others? Like, could we just get to the thing of... But I get, she's like, I'm in a new place. I don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, this doesn't look good. Bringing all the comfort items with us.
Yeah.
Ugh. Poor baby.
It's because you're pregnant. You're all hormonal. Can't even make a joke anymore.
I nearly cried this morning. Because I was like, he's going to edit this out. I was watching TikTok, and you know where Kate walks into Wimbledon, and
Yeah.
everybody stands up and applauds, and at first she doesn't realise they're applauding for her, and then turns around, I was like, oh, thank goodness, I'm so emotional. And I was like, this is ridiculous, you don't know her.
Yeah.
What's this about? And I was close to tears, so it's having a bad effect on me.
Dear. Oh, well.
We've turned out we've got 2 American lizards. When I say Kate, I mean our Princess Kate, not a random lady called Kate who walks into Wimbledon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's a lot of things like that we don't often... I have a complaint, actually. In the last episode I was editing, there's so many stories you say where you don't really give any context to start them off. And so I often have to edit them out because... I don't think outside of your family they make any sense because you don't
That's probably
provide the context of where the story's coming from.
Well, that's when people often complain I don't tell them I'm multi-birth. I assume everyone knows about my life.
Yeah.
And I just jump in with things I think
Yeah.
interesting.
Anyway. Next parenting story! Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, isn't there? Like, the reason I'm known as Baba to Lily rather than Daddy or Dada comes from the Arabic. Again, an influence because, of course, your sisters had kids before us.
Yeah,
and so
and
some
they
of that
saw us a
gets
lot.
passed on.
And hers, it was pure coincidence that she was happening to learn to talk around them.
Yeah.
So that she was like, oh, they seem to be saying this word Baba for their father. That must be what I need to say for my father.
I think just, when they're learning to talk, it might just be Lily, but I think the kind of what's the word?
Inflection?
Yes, inflect. There you go. You're the linguist. Inflection of like saying Baba was easy for her to say than Dada.
I think it's softer.
Not much, but just slightly.
Yeah.
Of course, that's all. I mean, again, another tangent
Another
here.
tangent.
But, that's why they always say that babies and kids typically say Dada or
Dada
Daddy
first,
before they say Mama or Mammy or
Which
whatever.
is very unfair, but it's the
Yeah.
way language works.
Just because it's easier to them to pronounce. Very good. Next parenting story. So, Hungry Chops, what are we chatting about today?
Today we are discussing our pregnancy. Do it again. The way you said it made me start the sentence weird.
So, Hungry Chops, what do we have? Oh dear. So, Hungry Chops, what are we chatting about today?
We are discussing how our pregnancy journey has gone so far.
A bizarre little one that is like you wanted to swap sides of the bed.
Yeah. So, if people don't know, you're meant to sleep on your left side during pregnancy. And
I think it's nonsense. I'm a man over here, like...
you might think that, but science says it's best to sleep on your left side because that's somehow the blood flows better on that side to the placenta and everything. So it's best for the baby. So I was like, right, we need to change sides of the bed because I like to watch a little video on my phone. Unhealthy millennial mindset. I like to watch something as I go to sleep. And I was like, well, then I'll fall asleep on the wrong side, on my side of the bed.
Yeah, we didn't like facing each other in the bed,
No,
so
we
we had
don't.
to swap sides.
We don't face each other. That's weird.
But if you've ever done this before, it's a very bizarre experience,
It
swapping
is.
sides of the bed. It did not feel right. I do not like it. I'm still there.
No, it even
It feels wrong.
sometimes I automatically when I'm going to bed still go in the wrong side, and then I'm like, oh wait a minute, this isn't my side of the bed at the
Yeah.
minute.
Also, just as a thing, my old bedside table is now very messy.
Yeah, it is.
And Mama's new bedside table that's now mine is nice and tidy. So I'm just saying, it's a clear sign of what happens when
Yeah.
someone's on a different side of the bed.
It's true. I tried to defend myself by saying I love a lot more creams and things that I use, but there's still no reason for it to be as messy as it is. And they also got told, like, you know, basically, oh, these are all the results. They were all low. Whereas I was just told, all your results are low. Ta-da!
Yeah. There we go. Emma, fountain of all knowledge.
I know.
It's typical you, isn't it? That we go through something like this, you like heavily research it and find out as much about it. Now you're teaching other women about
so
what's going
now
on.
in my low PAPA group, I'm one of the people, if somebody's worried and they put something up, I'm like, don't worry, looked into this, or we've been through this, this is
because
the
it
thing.
varies so much between NHS trusts,
Yeah.
what they tell you.
The trusts are
we had a
very
lady
different.
who was very good at telling us all about
Very
what the
good.
test results mean.
Yeah.
Whereas in some places they just
Some places they
tell
don't
you.
even get an appointment.
Just so
They just
you
get
know.
told this is the next test you will take.
So there's a lot of mums who were very worried about
Yeah.
saying, I've got this high likely, the test
Yeah.
back, it's and they didn't know what that meant. They didn't
No.
know, and you've been able to reassure a lot of mums,
Yeah.
what does that actually mean?
What does that actually mean? So this is shout out to Our Lady. She was excellent.
Yeah.
My sister in Plymouth, her youngest boy started school. Was it last year?
Yeah, a year ago, yeah.
Year ago. And it only started school. It wasn't very long. And they wanted everybody in the school had to apply to be on this school council thing. They wanted him to write a report about something he was passionate about. Now, if anyone knows Aidan, he really only is passionate about cars.
Yeah.
They wanted it to be like the environment, nutrition, like quite complex subjects. And then Laura's like, I basically had to write that for him.
Well, also, he's a 4-year-old. He's only limiting writing capacity.
She said he can't write that much.
Just write
What
his
is he
name.
going to write about the environment?
Yeah.
Like,
Clearly, this has been designed as stuff for year 5 and 6, and they thought, well, we'll make the whole school.
yeah,
do
the
it.
whole school do it. And Laura's just like, if he'd been given the freedom, he would have written about cars. And he'd have drawn a picture of a car. And he doesn't want to be on a school council. Why would you at that age want to be...
This is what worries me. This is what worries me, because they
And
should
his school is generally quite good. But she said
Yeah.
at the time, she was like, this is a ridiculous exercise for my child to be doing at this
He
age.
should be playing. He's a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
He does not need to be doing any of that. He just
Yeah.
needs to be outside and playing.
It just abuses it. Because I think, obviously, some schools, they will just have,
Yeah.
just play, do what you want. But it's stuff like that where it kind of sometimes seems that the world's gone a bit crazy, going... well, we need to tick a box that says you're involved in school life. Therefore, we will have a school council and everybody can apply to be on it.
It's
And-
all tick box exercises.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
Um,
And there was no, some of the most memorable things I did in history were back in year 7 when we had to build, create a what's it called? Motte and Bailey Castle.
oh, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Sure.
So I remember spending ages with my dad at home, making this paper and cardboard castle thing, with a working drawbridge
Yeah.
and so good. And learning about the village that would exist within the walls of the castle and what all the different things were called. And I remember so much of, enjoying that as a project and a practical way of learning. I remember so little else from history.
Well, it's like I remember, this is when my primary school, because it was rural and it was small, it was very, very good in doing the teacher would go, we're just going to do this, and we'd do it.
Right.
So I remember we had a Roman week, and we got to come in for one day dressed like Romans.
Ah, fun.
And you got to eat Roman food.
Wow.
And you got to discuss what did the Romans do? What they made roads.
Oh, wow.
It was just such a fun experience.
Yeah.
It was really memorable in my head.
Yeah.
And then another week it was Greeks. So they did different things where you could dress up, and it felt so much more involved learning it that way
Yeah.
than having to sit there and I almost feel like they had a lot of freedom because they were a small school. And bigger
Whereas,
schools just don't
you
get
know,
that freedom.
I was also quite rural in how, you know, most people count it. I was in a village, but I was in a massive school compared to you that
Yeah.
was oversubscribed, both primary and secondary,
Yeah.
really big. Next parenting story.
Well, it might not even be 2 more months, sweetie. You could be better.
It's true, not long now.
Yeah.
Right. Have you finished talking to the baby?
Yes, sir. Until she gives me a big kick again. Trying to calm her down.
Yeah.
Oh, did I was sharing it on Instagram, the yellow scissors. Did I mention this in any podcast recently?
No.
So, me and Lily were doing some crafts, as you do. She loves cardboard boxes. But not because
Yeah,
she's
quick story.
Okay, quick story, quick. So, we were playing with the cardboard box. And we were cutting it up to make a pumpkin head.
This isn't a quick story. Quicker.
Okay, I'll start again. Cut. Me and Lily recently were doing some crafts, and she got very emotional because she wanted to cut things with yellow scissors. We have never had yellow scissors in the house. I got out our plethora of about 6 different sets of scissors. She didn't want any of them because they weren't yellow. And I kept saying, but we don't have any yellow scissors. We've never had yellow scissors. And she kept going, but I like yellow. And I was like, yes, I know that. That's fine that
The
you like
logic
yellow.
of a toddler. That's what it's
Yeah.
like, isn't it? With
So
tantrums.
it was a bit impossible.
Next parenting story.
I think that's what makes me quite good at talking to people, though, as well.
Yeah.
Like, not that I'm like, oh, it's not that I don't need that, but I feel like I don't have as much worries of if it doesn't lead anywhere to a friendship, because I'm always like, oh, I'll chat to them anyway. Like, it doesn't really matter if we
Yeah.
talk later, because I already have a lot of my needs met.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to chat with no risk involved of like, if we never see each other again, you know.
Yeah. You're just giving back rather than
Yeah.
needing it for yourself. I don't know.
I think I just like socialising in general.
Yeah.
And I find other people very interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I worry this makes me sound like I'm fantastic at making friends. I think just in comparison to you, I'm quite sociable.
Yeah. We're at two ends of the spectrum here.
Whereas I think some people would say like I am quite quiet in
Yeah,
other
yeah.
situations, especially like before I was pregnant, I used to go to a fitness group and I'd talk like one-on-one to people.
Yeah.
But in the big class, I wouldn't obviously
Yeah.
be as chatty.
You're not like the life of the party. You're not the big
No.
socializer. You're not the big, I don't know, like, you know, some people are the kind of cohesive glue in social settings that kind of really
Yeah.
bring the group together. That's not you.
That's
you're
not
you're
me.
all about the little personal relationships
Yeah.
and chit chat.
So I'd say I'm good at like one-on-one and little conversations. I'm not necessarily good
Yeah.
at holding a whole group together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even amongst our friends, like, if it's like, it's fair enough because me and Rachel, because Rachel's obviously the person I know like more than
She's
her
your
husband.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm now friends with Yayo, but obviously I haven't known him as long.
Yeah.
But like with our friends Luke and Alice,
Yeah. It's true. Me and Luke are best friends.
Elliot and Luke are best friends, and they could, if they
Yeah.
really put their minds together, they could arrange a date to meet.
Maybe. I mean, the way that would work is one of us would message. It would be like 3 months later. The next one, the other one would go, I didn't reply to this. Maybe we should get our wives involved.
Yeah. Whereas normally, if we want to meet up, it's me and Alice both go, right, what dates are you free? What dates are we free? And then we arrange what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also,
I think we did okay the recent
did.
meetup. I think
Recent
me
you've
and
done
Luke
well.
were more involved in it.
You
and
were?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. See?
See, I'm defending us.
Yeah. This is another bugbear I'm going to bring up.
Oh no!
One year,
what has this turned
me
into?
and Alice also were like, this is the year we're going to make our husbands get the presents for each couple. So like, I was like, Elliot, you can get Luke and Alice's gift, and they were like, oh, Luke, you can get Emma and Elliot's gift.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yeah.
The last
Well, wasn't there was a year, wasn't there, where me and Luke were in charge of getting each other a gift for something.
Yeah.
And we both turned up and we were both like, neither of us have actually arranged anything until our wives have done it for
Yeah.
us.
No, I remember because I think I got them like pop-up pirate or something
Yeah.
as a fun gift, and Alice had got us something, and I remember being like, I'm so sorry, I haven't wrapped it. Elliot was in charge of doing the gift. He didn't do it. I've done it last minute. And Alice basically had the same story, but the other way around.
This wasn't how this episode was meant to go. Let's just get off this topic. I mean,
It's to do with socialising and maintaining friendships, though.
yeah.
I think a lot of it, you just don't, it just doesn't come up on your list of priorities to do.
Yeah. Next parenting story.
So me and Becky have discussed this before. In most relationships, there needs to be a sociable but very silly person. So that is me. Like, I like doing pranks on Elliot. And in her relationship, that's her husband, because she's the very quiet person. So
Yeah.
she's like you.
Yeah.
She doesn't make as many friends. Whereas me and her husband, Ayub, are very similar.
Yeah.
We both make most of the friends. We're both quite ridiculous in that we're the people who play pranks around the house. And so her theory, we were discussing it, is that most relationships, you have one sociable, fun-loving person, and then you have one more sensible but quieter person, and you kind of, feed off each other in that way.
Yeah, maybe. I like it.
That's when I always say you're very like Becky, because she's quite shy and doesn't talk as much.
Yeah.
And yeah. So just putting that out there. I think it might be a thing that you're always a one sociable person and one less sociable person.
Right, so we've come to the end of the episode. You have to pretend you've just listened through a load of stuff that I've edited together later.
Oh, yes, that was excellent. I'm so glad. I mean, honestly, I always get annoyed when some bits don't make it in, and I think I've told a really good story. Mainly me talking
Yeah,
about
that's true.
things that he doesn't think is interesting enough to have an episode. So,
And people do enjoy these episodes a lot, because
They
they
do.
are lots of funny stories just all over the place.
I'm just saying, it gives me a bit of thing of being like, I told you that was a good story.
Yeah. But it might not have been on thing with what we were talking about.
No, it's true. If people know me in my daily life, I do flit about rather a lot in conversation.
Yeah. It's just like talking to you normally. Like mid-sentence, you'll pivot into a completely different topic.
Well, it's because I suddenly remember something that I think is quite funny.
And it will take 10 minutes to get through it. And then we're
Yeah.
like, well, what on earth were we talking about?
Yeah. And then it's like, at that point of that story was, and I'm like, I don't know.
Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, this random higgledy-piggledy thing. It's so professional. We're,
Very professional.
it's what we're like. And do come back next time, please, for more episodes.
Yeah.
This isn't the end of the series. I know we've sometimes done these at the end of series, but we've just, we've had a batch of episodes, and it was about time. I've got enough content to make a whole outcut episode. extra fun.
If not, the outcut episode would be like 4 hours long by the time we got to the end of the series.
Yeah.
I was going to say season, but that's rather American.
Right, well, we better say goodbye.
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 I was really thinking of, Bear in the Big Blue House. He was like, goodbye,
Goodbye.
good friends, goodbye.
Goodbye. And in the words of parents everywhere, when you get a new baby and everyone says, flubbity wobbity boo.
Oh, you were going to say, don't wake the baby.
Oh, yeah, that would have been better. Don't wake the baby. God bless. Sleep well.
Good night. Or good morning.
We've got to end the episode. We can't just keep going. This is the longest one. And I want to keep it all in because it's the outtake episode and it will just keep going forever. Well, if you're still listening now, really, this is really goodbye. You've made it to the end. I don't know how long this has been. Thank you for listening. Thanks for supporting us.